If you run a door to door sales team, you might be missing out on a ton of production from your team if you don't know how to properly manage your team through their metrics. And what I mean by that is being able to look at the volume and conversion rate of all of the metrics that you're tracking for your team individually so that you can properly go sales rep by sales rep and actually diagnose the real problem that they're struggling with. A lot of times we manage through feelings and conversations with our sales rep. So, they're low on production, you ask them what's wrong, and they tell you what they think is wrong. But if that's coming from just a feeling or, a place that's not really backed by data, a lot of times they might be off on what's truly the problem. And then what happens is you end up managing and training and supporting them and spending all of this time and not actually getting the results that you need. So, in this training, I'm going to spend the next 15 minutes teaching you how to look at the different stages through their sales and door knocking process and find out truly what might be the issue so that you guys can solve it. So let's get after it. Okay, so a lot of times I see teams that are maybe looking at a sales rep's KPIs or key performance indicators. It's the same as metrics here, so I'm going to use those terms interchangeably. And you're going to actually, tell them what they need to fix. And that's actually pretty advanced. I see a lot of managers that don't really know how to use numbers to diagnose problems with their sales team. And so they don't even really do this step. What you want to be doing is teaching a man to fish, AKA taking the training that I'm giving you right now and using it to actually help your sales reps diagnose their own problems so that they can become problem solvers and actually find their own solutions. But a lot of times I see teams that are just fishing without a pole, AKA you're managing your team without KPIs or you're using very few KPIs, or you might just not understand them yourself. So we're going to go through the entire sales pipeline here. And I'm essentially using a pipeline that can withstand pretty much any industry. This especially holds true. I've used this for solar companies, roofing companies, etc. So if you just look at a basic sales pipeline as doors knocked to qualified buyers, to appointments set, to demos or SAT appointments, to sales, and then to installs or jobs complete, every single line going down all these arrows here are essentially saying that you might lose customers there and you want to make sure that these conversion rates between the stages don't suck. If you look at all of this and you see, oh my gosh, one is significantly lower than the rest of my office or industry standard, that is what you're going to want to focus in on. Starting at the top, though, if you have a rep that is knocking a ton of doors but struggling to actually find qualified buyers, people that they're talking to and having actual conversations with that might not be ready to set an appointment or move forward yet, but are the right people to be talking to, here are the problems that they might be running into. They might be knocking the wrong doors. So maybe they are, if you're in solar, for example, you might be knocking doors that have a ton of shading or a terrible roof. Clearly, this home is not a really great fit for solar. So that might be one of the issues. Number two is they might not be prospecting effectively. So a lot of times sales reps might be, going through the neighborhood and not actually checking to see if somebody's home. They're knocking every single door. They might be all over the place. So another issue just might be that they don't know how to truly prospect effectively. And then number three is they might not actually be knocking. Now that we have technology and we're using door knocking tools, when I started in sales, we did not have that stuff. But now that we have that, it's really easy for a rep to just pin a bunch of doors throughout a neighborhood and show their manager, look, I've been knocking, when in reality they haven't been. So the solutions to this step, if this is your conversion rate that's low, is going to be making sure that your sales rep is knocking more hours or doors. So it could just be a sheer volume issue here. Number two is going to be making sure that they're more efficient with their conversations. So if they're quickly getting into a conversation, they can tell that that person's not an actual qualified buyer. They're going to want to remove themselves politely from that conversation and move on to the next door and not waste their time with that homeowner anymore. And then third is going to be creating better prospecting habits, making sure that if the industry that you are working in requires that they are pretty picky about who they actually knock and who they're talking to, that they're truly aware of that stuff, they're fully trained, and then they're using that in their process. Okay, number two. So if they're talking to a lot of qualified buyers on the doors, but they're not actually setting a lot of appointments, here are the problems they might be running into. Number one is sales breath at the door. So if their pitch completely sucks and they sound really desperate, they sound like a salesperson and they aren't really exhibiting reasons for a homeowner to trust them, they might be having a really hard time actually setting that appointment. Number two is having bad door pitch habits. So maybe they are coming across looking really intimidating to homeowners, or maybe they're drilling all the way through their door pitch without asking a lot of questions. Ultimately, they're getting to the end of their sales pitch. They think that they are at the step to actually transition in and try to close the deal and ask for the appointment, when in reality, they have not actually gotten the homeowner to get on the same page with them yet. Number three, they just might not be closing well. Maybe they're doing a good job qualifying the prospect, getting them to buy into the pitch that they have, but then at the end, they're just not doing a good job transitioning into the actual close, the call to action at the end of their door pitch. Or number four, maybe they're having a hard time following up. So people are telling them, oh, I might be interested. Now's not the right time. Come back around. And they're either not tracking those people, or they are tracking those people and they're just not following up with those homeowners. Follow up is a big, big deal in this industry. A lot of times we skip out on that sort of thing. So the solutions here are going to be the following. Number one, you're going to want to put some emphasis at the problems at hand. Make sure that you are doing a good job training your door knockers to not just follow a specific script, but more so follow a framework of different stages throughout their door pitch that they should be touching on in order to pull the customer through the right customer journey there. A lot of times, if we just give them a pitch to memorize, it's not going to sound the same way that they would sound if they had created their own pitch based off of a framework. And so, an introvert sitting there reading this super energetic, peppy sales manager's door pitch script, and they sound absolutely ridiculous because it just doesn't match their specific personality. Number two is making sure that they're using a lot of questions throughout their door approach. So, questions are what turn a sales pitch into an actual conversation, and it's what's going to actually build trust with the homeowner. So, make sure that they're not just, again, reciting some type of script, but they're doing a good job adding in a lot of qualifying questions, and not just yes or no questions, but actual questions that are going to kick off further parts of the conversation. And then I sometimes see sales reps that are using questions, but whatever that person's answer is to the question doesn't actually change the rest of their door pitch. They just go straight into the next line in their head, in their pitch, instead of actually using the answer to that question to naturally take the conversation in another direction. A sales rep that is in control of how the conversation's going and is able to go off on a little bit of a tangent because of the answer to a question and then control the conversation back to the track they need to go down is a good sales rep. Number three is making sure that you're building trust in you, the company, and the product. So the sales rep needs to make sure that they don't just trust you as a person, but you're also doing a good job edifying the company and edifying the product themselves or the product itself. Number four is making sure that they are actually having some type of takeaway at the end of their pitch. So if they're transitioning into an appointment set, making sure that, they're letting the homeowner know, hey, I'm not even sure if you qualify yet. I think that based on your roof and this, that, and the other thing, you might be a good qualifier for our program, but I won't know until we actually sit down. So giving some type of reason why it's exclusive to sit down with that person or a closer coming to the house afterwards is going to be a major step here. And the last one is to follow up. Make sure that we're using the door knocking tools that we have or some type of follow up process to actually go back to homeowners that said that they were interested and just didn't have the time to meet with you just then. Quick exercise for you guys to actually do with your team would be to track your sales reps ratio between doors knocked and appointments set or doors knocked and closes. And I would do this weekly. It's going to actually help them plan out their goals a lot better and their work hours around that number. For example, if I'm a brand new rep and I'm just learning the craft and I'm getting kind of discouraged, it's the first couple weeks on the job, it's really helpful for me to know that every 120 doors or so, I'm going to end up with an appointment. And it's great to see that as I put more effort into training and learning the process, that my conversion rate goes from 120 doors to one appointment set to, let's say, 80 doors to appointment set. As I get better, that ratio is going to get better, and it's going to show me that I am truly doing better and improving in my craft. And it's also going to help me know that if I knock 20 hours a day and it takes me 80 doors to get an appointment and my goal is 3 appointments in a day, I can do that math to actually plan out my knocking day. Using KPIs and metrics like this to manage your sales reps, especially when they're early on in the process, can really help take some of the emotion out of the process and some of the, insecurity and dealing with rejection that happens early on. That's going to help them know that, even though it is sometimes hard to get rejected, it's truly a numbers game. And if they stick with it, then they will eventually end up getting the results they're looking for. Okay. Moving on to the next step in the sales process. So, if you've got an issue with the conversion between appointment set to actual appointment sat, or what I'm calling demos here, the problem might be that the customer didn't actually see value in the product. So maybe they said yes on the door to get this person off their porch, but they didn't truly see a reason to stick around and hold that appointment with the closer. Number two is could be that they just didn't mind wasting our time. They didn't really see much value or trust in this person at their doorstep. They didn't feel like it was going to hurt this person and not actually show up. And so it was, no problem to them if they didn't show up. They didn't feel bad at all. Number three is the rep might not have sat a sticky appointment. So maybe they kind of got a general day and time to show up, but they didn't set a specific date, time, etc., to show up back to the house. So, my solutions for this one is number one, going to be humanizing the person coming back to the house. This is a really big one. If I tell them that this person is, one of the top closers in our office, they've been in the industry a really long time, they're so great at helping homeowners, or they really love, working with families like you that have X, Y, and Z, just something to show that this person is a real person. A great way to do this too is to get recorded videos from your closers. So if you know, for example, that I, Alex, am going to end up being the closer on your appointment, maybe the way you button up your appointment at the door is going to be, look, I'm going to send you a video that our closer, Alex, filmed just to make sure that you're totally prepared for your appointment. She's going to walk through expectations to make sure you guys are on the same page. I'm going to text this video over to you now so you can see what she looks like so that you're ready to answer the door when she gets to your house. What's your cell phone number again? And then they're going to send this video of me where I'm talking into the phone and I'm saying, hi, homeowner. Thank you so much for booking your appointment with XYZ Company. My name's Alex. I'm going to be the sales rep coming back to your house for the appointment. Just want to let you know a couple expectations I have. Number one, make sure you're setting aside enough time for our appointment, blah, blah, blah. So if I'm filming a video like that and giving it to my setters so that they can pass it along to my appointments, it can be a great way to help humanize me and make sure that they answer the door and show up when I'm going to be there. Number two is going to be setting expectations for the drive time that the sales rep has to get to that house. So you can easily do this by, whether this is exactly true or not. You could say, look, so-and-so's really busy. She's got a lot of appointments in her calendar. And because she works in a couple different territories in the area, she might be driving over an hour away to get to the appointment. So if you end up having any reason that you're going to be a little bit late or whatever, please let us know so that she can, make sure that she's setting aside time because she is going to be driving quite a distance to get here. That helps make sure that they know, oh shoot, I'm committed to this appointment. This is a real person. I need to make sure that I'm showing up for this girl when she gets to my house. Number three, make sure that you're getting the email and phone number for every single person. Don't just put in a fake email or a fake phone number. And if you're in an industry like solar, make sure that you're getting the utility bill. If someone's actually giving the bill, obviously it's going to help quite a bit with making sure that the solar proposal is more on point, but it's also going to help really solidify that appointment. Someone that's giving you that extra bit of information about themselves and their home is going to be more likely to actually plan to show up for the actual appointment. And number four, send a reminder text. This does not need to be a question, like a confirmation text. It can just be a reminder. I always, always, always send one of these out, even if I set the appointment the day before. I'm going to send out some type of text either the night before or the morning of so that this homeowner can get prepared. And if for whatever reason they can't meet at the exact same time, they're going to let me know and I can make sure that I'm not wasting the time of my closers. Now, if you're having an issue with your demos converting to actual sales, problems that might come up here are number one, the setter sold the appointment and not the actual sale. This is a big one that I see a lot. And a lot of times too, it depends on how the company compensates the setters. If the setters are getting compensated on the set and not the actual sale, then what skin in the game do they have to make sure that the deal is actually going to sell? It is wrong to say that a setter is not in control of a sale because they absolutely are with how they are priming that homeowner during the conversation on the door. Number two is that they're setting the wrong expectations at the door. So maybe they're saying something like, oh, someone's just going to come and drop by a proposal for your house, or they're just going to need to come in for 10 minutes, or, oh, yeah, you don't need your spouse to be home, anything like that. All of those things are setting up the wrong expectations for the homeowner to actually know what should be happening there. And number three, no follow-up. So Sometimes we'll sit down with a homeowner and they might be willing to move forward. They just need a little bit of time. Maybe there's something in the way. They've got to talk to their CPA or whatever it's going to be. If we don't follow up with those people, that's a lot of sales that we might just be leaving on the table. So, solutions to this are number one, sell the sale and not the appointment. So, again, anytime I'm running an appointment setter, like a setter closer division, I am always, always, always coaching my setters to know that it is absolutely in their control whether or not somebody actually sells the appointment. And that's because I can have my conversations in a way that's priming that homeowner for the sale. I can also make sure that if someone is very clearly not ready to sit down and actually buy at this appointment, they need a couple months, they've got to check in with something, whatever, it is up to me then to either make sure that that's actually true. And if so, maybe not set that appointment or consider if that might just be a smokescreen and figure out how to actually get past that and make sure that this customer is primed to buy when they actually sit down. Number two is be clear at the door. Don't be afraid to actually talk about what it truly takes to have a quality appointment. You should have both decision makers there. You should set aside enough time for the sales rep that's coming back to actually get through their entire presentation and answer questions. That might be 45 minutes, it might be an hour, etc. And make sure that they have any resources that you need. For example, again, if you're in solar and they didn't give you the utility bill yet, they're going to need to have their energy usage available in order to make sure that that appointment is productive. And number three, make sure that you're following up. If you have someone that didn't say no at that first appointment, even if it's a credit fail, make sure that you're following up with those people because you can always get those sales later down the road. And they might follow up is an opportunity for you to build continued trust with the homeowner. So coaching your reps to make sure that they're doing that is absolutely imperative. And last but not least, if you're having an issue of sales not converting through to installs or jobs complete, here is what might be the issue. Number one is having missing or incorrect paperwork being submitted from the sales rep. Oof, that is the worst. Dirty deals getting submitted absolutely sucks and really messes with the operations pipeline. Number two is they didn't set customer expectations in the home. So maybe they didn't really tell the person what was going to actually happen after they left the house between that sale process and the end of the actual job. And number three, they didn't closely manage the project. They could have, missed out on some emails from the operations staff, letting them know what needed to happen to get paperwork signed or something like that. And they just totally blew past that stuff. The solutions to this, number one, is going to be proper training and a screening process for all of your sales that come through. This is going to be something like a welcome call or a verification call where a third party on your team can verify that all of the paperwork is being properly submitted at time of sale. If you are training your sales reps ahead of time and then screening the deals as they come through, it might be a little bit more time on the front end, but I promise it's going to save so much time on the back end, making sure that your operations pipeline is not cluttered with deals that are not actually ready to move forward. Number two is follow up with expectations. So we want sales reps in the home to make sure that they're setting proper expectations with the customer on timeline and other, touch points that are needed, paperwork, etc. But just to make sure that that is never going to cause an issue for the team, you should also be having another team member follow up or a series of emails or videos that is going out to the homeowner so that they are fully aware of the process to get from point of sale to actual install or job complete. And then number three, don't remove reps from the projects after sale. I see a lot of companies that are trying to make it streamlined for sales reps to just focus on sales, but then they're actually removing that person from monitoring the job all the way through to install. And that does a couple things. Number one, it's going to actually hurt the relationship between the rep and the customer. This person that they've built all this trust with is no longer a part of the deal, and their sales rep is just handing this person off to a project manager. And the project manager isn't the person that the homeowner built trust with throughout the entire process. So a lot of times it can actually hurt the sale and cause extra miscommunication issues and things like that. So make sure that you do not remove your rep from projects after sale. And number two, it also gives sales reps the false expectation that it is not their responsibility to make sure that the job follows all the way through. A good sales rep is going to be involved with the customer all the way through to the end of the process to make sure that they can get referrals along the way. You should be getting at least one referral for every job that you install in your industry. If you were able to do that, think about it this way. you wouldn't ever have to technically have your reps knock again if every single sale came with at least one referral. It would be a self replicating and generating process. So, referrals are huge, and keeping sales reps on the deal all the way through to job complete is a big part of that. So, you guys, if this was a helpful training today and you feel more equipped to manage your sales teams effectively, we've put together a video training platform that's got all sorts of templates, processes, videos on how to implement everything so that you can fix your recruiting systems, sales rep retention systems, and culture systems. And if you can do all three of those things, then you can scale your sales team to whatever degree you're looking for. So if that's something for you, go ahead and check out the description where we're going to have a link and you can check out more about the Sales Recruiting Academy. Thanks so much. I'll see you in the next video.